And so let me show you what Spanish logic looks like. For example, sentences like I'm hungry, right? In English, you just say I am hungry. Now, if you just translated I am, you'd get estoy or soy. In Spanish, you say tengo hambre, I have hunger. And so what's happening is when you're translating word for word like that, you're not understanding the logic. And so instead, what we want to do is break down every single word and decipher the logic. I've made videos about this before, and I have other videos explaining specific grammar things in Spanish. But the core concept is the same. Memorizing gives you pieces, but understanding the logic gives you the system that you use those pieces with. It answers the question why. And that is super important when it comes to breaking this habit of thinking in English, translating the words Spanish, and then saying them. Because that simply ruins the flow, the fluidity, the fluency, right? And so all we're doing here is following a simple framework that actually has reasoning behind why it works. We want to get better at speaking Spanish, and so we're going to be speaking Spanish, understanding how to say that thing in Spanish if we don't know how to say it, and then repeating those two steps over and over again in order to actually learn. And when we speak it, we're speaking in a way that emulates a real conversation by doing it through narrating and elaborating and contemplating. And then we're understanding by actually understanding each individual word and then looking at the entire sentence through a holistic view to understand the actual logic behind the sentence. Like my name is in Spanish, you could say mi nombre es, but a lot of people just say me llamo. Okay, well, what does me llamo or me llamo mean? It means I call myself. Oh, well, that makes sense. That gives you a logic that you can think of. A logic of calling yourself something is what your name is. And that's true, isn't it? What you call yourself is your name, right? That's what names are for. They're to call someone. When you call someone like, hey, Sam, get over here, you're calling them, right? And so it's like you're stuck thinking in your head in English because you're thinking of the word name, whereas in Spanish, they're not thinking of the word nombre, they're thinking of to call oneself. And so as soon as you start understanding words in Spanish through the logic of Spanish, I promise you, you will never have to sit there and translate word for word. Now, obviously, whenever you don't know how to express something in Spanish, you're going to go to your safe space in English to try to find some sort of parallel between those two languages. And of course, that's natural. But with this framework of speaking, understanding, and repeating, and specifically understanding the logic, you will hopefully avoid that, okay? And so ways of understanding the logic, I like to use a translator called DeepL and then translate word for word and then translate the entire sentence. And that way I get to compare those two and just sort of make my own logic of how that is. And usually that works, right? Humans are very good at recognizing patterns. And so if you yourself can recognize that pattern, great. Otherwise, it is just about using materials or sources that explain the why, okay? And this could be, for example, a program that teaches it, which I do offer. Or, for example, a free course that goes through it very well as well. For example, the language transfer course is a very good one. What you want to avoid is stuff like Duolingo and Babbel that don't really do that. And another way is just asking AI for explanations because AI is also extremely smart. It's artificial intelligence. And so asking artificial intelligence for, logic behind it and sort of an explanation behind, how sentences are made and why they are like that is a really great way to do that. And that is how you stop translating in your head in English.